Welcome. This is Leah Bales with Create Sanctuary in the Midst of Chaos, Part 2. Today we're going to be talking about creating sanctuary in your body. We'll be talking about embodying sanctuary so that you're feeling it in your body because your body's always with you. So wherever you go, when you've got sanctuary in your body, when you have the ability to create and find and enjoy sanctuary in your body, you can take it anywhere you want. You don't have to wait to go to a certain place. It's there for you when you're there for it. Each day in this series of creating sanctuary, we talk about some different aspects of how we create sanctuary. Creating sanctuary is a really important life skill. It's a self-care skill. It's a health skill. It's a spiritual skill. It's a survival skill. It's a thrival skill that allows you to find simple and powerful ways to create a place of sacredness, a place of safety, a haven, a rest, when things around you are uncontrollable, which is often true. No matter what's happening around you, no matter what kind of turmoil, no matter what kind of uncertainty, whatever kind of chaos is happening in the world, when you can find moments, when you can find places in yourself and create places in yourself, in your world, in your relationships of sanctuary, you can be replenished, refilled, nourished, so that you can make your best choices. You can still create what you're wanting to within the situation that you're in. Given whatever circumstance there is, you can have much more powerful choices, and you can show up more fully as your best self when you're able to create sanctuary. So creating sanctuary with the body is actually really one of my life themes since my whole life, I've been interested in body-mind work and working with the wisdom of the body and how the body, the mind, the heart, the soul all interact. I've studied yoga since I was a teenager and done body-mind meditation since then. But it was really in my early 30s that I had a wake-up call that compelled me, inspired me, forced me in a way to take this on as a big part of my life work. I had a very serious immune system crash in my early 30s. And one thing it helped me realize was that I was ignoring the wisdom of my body. And as I began to recover from that and tune more into the wisdom of my body, tune in and commit to leading from, learning from the body wisdom, I realized I was far from alone and began working with hundreds and then thousands of people who also could really benefit from that body brilliance perspective. Each one of us has a brilliant body. You have a brilliant body. I have a brilliant body. Everyone walking around, we have a brilliant body. And your brilliant body is always communicating with you, or at least it's always trying to communicate with you. And yet we live in a culture where so many of us are taught in various ways on various levels to ignore our body, to push down our body's signals, to override the messages we get from our body, so that the messages, the communication that's always coming from our body, we block. So one of the very most important things, and if you could just take one thing away from today, is to begin to treat your body as a dear beloved friend, as an ally, as a partner. And when you are listening to your body, when you're responding to it, when you're working with your body, you will continually be guided toward better health, toward optimal living, and even toward your soul path. Because our bodies and our souls, I believe, are very intricately connected. We learn about what our soul wants us to do, about what we're really here to do, about that deep essence place by being connected to our bodies. So notice for just a moment, what would happen in your life? What might shift if you truly began to treat your body as a dear, beloved, lifelong friend, and maybe you already do, but how could you even imagine being a better friend to your body? What would shift today if you began to think of your body as a beautiful, brilliant, beloved, lifelong friend? Hmm. Noticing that. We think of sanctuary in its early terms. It was sacred, finding holiness, finding a place of sacredness. And that's a very important part of finding sanctuary in our body. Whatever your spiritual path or belief system is, thinking that spirit, thinking that holiness doesn't exist outside of us, it doesn't exist far away, it exists right here and now. This gift of your body, this gift of the breath, of this moment of being embodied here in this sweet, precious body and this sweet, precious life. So, one of the great ways to open to that is just to feel grateful for all the ways your body has served you, even maybe in times when you haven't listened very well or you haven't treated your body as well. So just take a moment to notice, and maybe after the call or right now, write down, how has my body really served me well? How am I really grateful to this amazing lifelong friend of my body? And how can I begin to show that gratitude? How can I begin to show up as a better friend for my body? Because when you do, your relationship with your body will become a sanctuary. I had a client, a yoga student, a few years ago who told me after one of the early classes that she took, she said, "Oh my gosh, my whole life, I grew up in the Catholic tradition." She said, "My whole life I've been told that my body was a temple. I never felt it until now." But when we do these practices of coming into the body, when we tune into the body wisdom, when we let our movements be body prayers, be movements of gratitude and connection with the body, I feel that my body is a temple. So a temple is another word for sanctuary, and it's there always with you. Last time in the first class, we talked about breath, taking sanctuary in the breath. So your breath is always with you. So even right now, as we're talking and listening, notice, can you feel your breath inside? Can you let your breath bring you into the gift of your body right here and right now? Without forcing, just soften around your breath, feel your breath flowing in, feel your breath flowing out. And the breath is sanctuary, and the breath helps bring you into the sanctuary of your body. When I was thinking about talking to you about this, I was thinking about how we often in our culture approach health. And people often say, "I'm working really hard to get healthy. I'm working really hard to get in shape." And very often that working quality can work against us. And I was thinking there are 3 Ds that we often talk about with this approach, this kind of hard working to get in shape approach. And the Ds to me are diet, deprivation, and don'ts. So we often think we've got to have a diet, we've got to have deprivation. If we're going to get healthy, we've got to deprive ourselves of the things we love, and we need a lot of things we don't do. That's not my approach. My approach that treats the body more as a beloved friend, as a dear teacher, and as a guide, and that helps us have sanctuary, has more 3 Ps: pleasure, presence, and play. And pleasure, presence, and play all work together so very well. Someone recently said to me, "I've been working really hard to be present." Again, we work hard to get healthy. It kind of works against us. We work hard to be present. It actually gets in our way. Now, being present is wonderful. It's really important. It's a quality of beingness that can let you have much more joy and well-being and connection in the world, being present. When we work at being present, we tend to have tension, which keeps us out of being present. Being present is actually a very, very natural quality. So if you think of a little child, children are naturally present. You are naturally present. Present to me just means you're showing up fully. You're awake to what's there. You're there with the person you're with. You're there with the place you're with. You're there in your body. You are embodied at that time. So that full body presence is a very powerful quality to bring to yourself, because then you can feel what's going on in yourself and respond to it. It's a very powerful quality to bring to relationships or to any activity. And when you're in that full body presence, you're more available for your greatest intelligence, your creativity. You're able to make better choices. You expand into who you really are with that full body presence. So breath helps us come there. Again, we're not trying to make the breath happen. We're not saying do this, don't do that. We just, there's breath. Open to the gift of breath. Open to the presence here of your body. Can you feel your feet move around a little? Notice when I talk about it, I kind of wiggle a little, because when we're stuck, when we're tense, we're cutting ourselves off from being present. When we can open into that juicy feeling of being here right now, we let go of tension, we shake out a little bit, we breathe, and we feel we are more present. Playfulness works a lot better to get there than working hard at it. We work hard, we get kind of tense, our face gets tense, our muscles get tense. We play with presence, we bring that quality of a playful spirit, we get curious. What can I do that lets me feel more present? What is it like to feel present here and now? That playful attitude, again, it's like a child. Children naturally are much more in tune with their body, aligned with that full body presence. And that playfulness is the best quality we can have, the best state of mind and state of being for learning. And it brings us into that yummy sense of having fun in our body. So that's the third one, pleasure. So presence, really showing up. What's in the way? The tension's in the way, the stress is in the way. We let that go and we become more and more present and we play with it. It's a fun kind of playful way to be with it. And when we do, there's more pleasure. So I think in our culture, we often have sort of a negative, even sinful idea of pleasure, or that if we follow pleasure, it's going to lead us to be unhealthy. We'll be lazy, we'll eat too much, we'll do the wrong things. And I really disagree with that. I think when we are in our true pleasure, our natural pleasures, our healthy pleasures, they will guide us toward what we need. Most of us are very aware in our body of pain signals. We notice when our body hurts, or maybe we don't, that becomes a problem too. But we are all aware that our body sometimes speaks to us through pain. And really great to start listening. And just as a little aside, when you feel pain, you can begin saying, oh, sweet, brilliant body, what do you need? Just kind of get curious. Again, be playful, be present with that pain and notice. Our bodies also, though, speak to us in pleasure pathways. And many of us are so tuned to the pain pathways, we don't notice the pleasure pathways. Just think for a moment, what does your body really love to do? What do you do that brings you to that place where your body is just happy, joyful, more aligned and tuned in? You can think of the foods that bring you pleasure. Now, again, we notice like there are some foods that bring us pleasure for a moment, like I might love eating a huge bunch of chocolate ice cream. It would taste great at the moment, and it would feel terrible probably 5 or 10 minutes later. A little bit might feel great to me 10 minutes later. A whole lot probably isn't going to feel great. So it's that really kindly noticing, how does that really feel? And following that. When we're looking at pleasure in the body, it brings us very differently to the self-care practices. And all of those self-care practices that are lined up with pleasure can bring us into sanctuary. So think for a moment about how you like to move. Not how you think you should move, not what exercise you should do, but how do you love to move? Do you put music on and just move around and play? Do you take a yoga class? And again, there are all different kinds of yoga classes. Which one really feels good to you while you're doing it and afterwards? One of my very favorite things is walking outside. I love being in nature and I love walking. And sometimes I walk really fast and sometimes I sort of meander and look at everything and sit down. And that kind of movement is very, very important to me. When I'm doing that movement that I love, I'm opening to the sanctuary of my body. Following your true pleasure, the natural deep pleasures, will take you into what your body needs. Same thing with food. What are the foods that bring you that deep pleasure? Not just for the moment, but later. Sometimes when I've done cooking classes for pain groups at hospitals, and I'll mix up some fresh vegetables, and we'll do a stir fry. People have told me they felt really good and alive in their bodies for a couple of days afterwards, especially people who weren't used to eating fresh vegetables cooked simply. So noticing that's that kind of enlivening pleasure that will help you be in your body like a sanctuary. Your body's needs are very, very simple. Your body needs to be nourished, it needs to eat and drink, it needs to rest. That's one of the signals we really override. It needs to move. It needs to be felt. Both the senses, all the senses need to be noticed, and it needs to be received. It needs you to notice what it's feeling. The idea of rest is a big sanctuary place because a lot of us spend so much of our lives busy, and even wear busyness and overdoing as kind of a badge of honor, that resting becomes something we forget all about. I noticed last week I was just exhausted and I felt awful. And when I would just give into it and just deeply, deeply rest and surrender into that and stop fighting it, I noticed how under the discomfort, there was a deep pleasure in following what my body was wanting to do. And it did become a sanctuary for me, became something that dropping down deeply into that deep fatigue and resting and resting and resting for several days, a lot of ideas began bubbling up. A lot of light pieces of energy came up for me and things I wanted to listen to and play with and work with. So that listening to your body when it's showing you what it needs, sometimes I say she needs or he needs, and following that becomes deeply, deeply pleasurable and will lead you towards your best health and become sanctuary. You can find sanctuary in your body very, very simply in your breath, in your senses. Your pleasure pathways are in all of your senses. What would your body like to see? What would your eyes like to rest on? What fragrances would your body love to smell today? Maybe you have oils or fragrances, and those can open up that sense of sanctuary in yourself. What foods would become deeply nourishing and help you find that sanctuary in your body? How can you play? How can you have a playful attitude with what your body needs and what you're needing right now and in your life? A lot of us right now in this particular time are not going out as much. Most of us are not going out as much. We're staying at home. What can you begin to do? Very simple things that would let you have that feeling of pleasure, of play, and of being present in your body. All of those are doorways to your body being your sanctuary, being your holy place, your sacred place, as well as being a place of safety and of refuge. When you're following that, the pleasure, the play, when you're being present in your body, your nervous system will begin to calm down. Your nervous system goes on high alert when you're worried about a lot of things outside. You're not sure what's going to happen. You're looking at the news. Those things are happening. Your nervous system goes on to high alert, even though there may be nothing physically right now you can do about it. The more you can find ways to create that sense of safety in your body, that sense of being deeply nourished, deeply cared for, deeply connected inside, the more powerful you will be in your decisions and your choices and your ability to know what you need to do right now. A lot of us at home right now, while there's this big pandemic in the world, a lot of us have the feelings all the time like, oh, I should be doing something. What should I be doing? Often right now, there isn't a lot outwardly. Maybe there is. Maybe there are people you can call. Maybe there's an action you can take, a service you can do. If that is, great. You will be guided to that more clearly when you can find that sanctuary in yourself. Pleasure, play, and presence. Notice how the three of those work together. Notice how you can enjoy them in your life. And I'd love to hear from you. How does your body become a sanctuary? What simple things can you do to find sanctuary, holiness, sacredness, refuge, and safety in your own beautiful, brilliant body? And I'm going to end today with the prayer, the blessing that we did yesterday as well. So let yourself just get grounded. Feel your beautiful, brilliant body. Thank you, body, for all you've done for me. If you'd like, bring your hands to your heart. We bring the right hand and left hand together, palm together. We're bringing the two sides of our body, the left and right, the masculine and the feminine, the night and the day, the dark and the light, right together at the heart. The heart, the center of compassion, joy, love, and courage. Feel your breath. May we be at peace. May our hearts remain open. May we each know the beauty of our own true nature. May we be healed, and may we become a source of healing for all the world. Thank you.